Right then, here we are back in Mittenrahm in Brakenrahm at the hole. It's probably going to have had many names over the time that it's existed, so I feel like the hole as a generic term is probably the best way forward. I'm not quite sure what else to be calling it. It could be called anything. The villagers probably would have called it the Cradle of Keegan. Guinean, sorry. We'll get into that a little bit in a moment. You can see that I've done a little bit more work. There's a little bit more decoration, more trees. This has been done and is awaiting some decoration, I think. Yeah, I think a couple of the front ones, maybe these two, need to be worked on. It suddenly occurred to me that the debris from the top should be scattered around as well. So a few days ago I put down markers and built them up into little pillars and stone and stuff. They need to be decorated. The hole itself has been fully decorated, with the exception of a couple of spots that are waiting on me finalizing exactly what's being done where, so I know whether these holes will be visible, or anything like that. So, but yeah, for the most part, decorated, tried to imply cracking, tried to imply a couple of these bits of stones have slid forward. And I actually forgot that this was meant to play a part in what's going on down here, because they may have abandoned this as a temple because the hole became unstable. But the only sign of that is this piece of damage here, and I think it would probably be better if there was some evidence inside that part of the temple has literally broken and shifted over to the side. But I just took a quick look at last week's video, and I know that the below was complete. Suffered a little bit. I updated to 1.21.11, and it was 1.24.11. Anyway, the latest one, and they changed the fog, and it's slightly foggy close to you, and then lighter further away, and that completely ruined the way this looks down here. Even now, with it turned off, I don't think it's working as well as it was. But with it turned on, you could see like this was lit up almost. The fog was providing us some sort of weird illumination. So yeah, it looked pretty nasty. I did try sodium because of this, and sodium did have a way of altering the fog render distances. But then it was buggy with the overlay, the new overlay where you can put quick info up, and there was no button I could initially find for turning off the fog effect in the end, which got awful for my build particularly, and it leaves me feeling like it's one of the worst things I've ever added to the game. But yeah, I won't go down too much of a path of complaining. Just look at this. This is not finished. Yeah, I have to remember that well. I don't want to walk away from here and realize I've left a whole bunch behind. So we'll go in here. So I think this is roughly where it started. I basically dug out this space, and originally filled it with green like one of their other buildings are over where the village's original village is. And I then decided, oh, and I had a nice acorn symbol sat here, made of all sorts of different colours, and I was like, wait a minute. The occupation by the villagers as a temple is only part of the story, and the last two occupants before this, although separated by hundreds of years, had a more permanent base here, and they would have both influenced what was here internally, even if they didn't modify the particular inside structure very much. So we've got this is a redecoration. This looked more like this out here. And this is now somebody's throne room. Got little nods to the stronghold altars. Way too much loot in one back box. I don't know how people, I don't think people like thorns in hardcore. There's something about it, something that can get them killed if they're not careful. But anyway, yeah, so like the skull icon and this weird yin-yang symbol with flame effects on the edges, it's all in keeping with the people who first lived down here prior to the cult of the Nether coming along, by which time these secondary inhabitants were already gone. And the new ones, the cult of the Nether and / Void, they made more changes to the place to suit their needs. So this tunnel now is part of the original temple complex, connects all 4 wings. You can actually go out into the back outside. So you can walk from here to get into this wing, and originally this would have been up here slightly, and they would have been able to basically cross and come around to the other side to access the other two, but the inner corridor existed as well. So I may make this a priority today to actually decorate this. It should look more like this. I need to incorporate the cracked stone. Started using andesite for worn cobblestone and the regular brick for worn stone brick. That was a pan I was sitting on, so I'm probably going to take that approach. Had trouble deciding on the floor, and then there should be just roof support periodically. It won't take much, but I should get it done now before I just give up on it. So this is the storage area. This probably would have been here as part of the original temple. This is an original dungeon that I've loved. It used to be sat about here. And then this is obviously the more proper storage. Up there, unbuilt but marked at the moment, is oops, let's go all the way up. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, so from here I will be building a tunnel that will connect to as yet a non-existent build. It may have an early quick point, but I do think it probably makes most sense to go all the way back to their village that they came from, which is on the coast of the jungle. I always forget about the pots when it comes to storage. I mean, that's such a good thing for storage as well. I just remembered, you can decorate the pots. How is that done, and why isn't all of the decorative pots available? I'm not imagining that. How do you make it? Where are the sherds? More to the point, why are sherds called sherds instead of shards? Okay, I'm dangerously close to screwing around instead of finishing my video, so I'm gonna stop myself before I do. Yeah, so this is cave-in from where gravel was. I won't fill it in or cover it up. Just let it be part of the build. There's some access points that are still open. Again, waiting for the moment where I decide what's what within the building. So we come to a garden area where you're supposed to come and chill out, think deep thoughts. It's been partially repurposed for growing stuff, probably by the second occupants after the temple usage. There are a number of connection points to areas that will probably serve as places where I really ought to do, you know, food growth. I mean, this looks pretty nice. I have an alternative idea for this, but I don't think this is the right place, so I need to find something similar. Back over by the big hall. I've already tried once to create crop space, and the thing that's failing me is I put the water in, and there's nowhere to put the soil, so this probably doesn't really belong here. I did it, it looks fine. A little bit too demonic with the horns, that's a bit weird. I'm not quite sure. Like, it was just meant to connect the roof so there was a full pattern. But yeah, yeah, again, there's access points all over and down here too. I think these haven't been developed properly. I need to figure out where they're going. In fact, actually, I just realised I moved on quite heavily from this and done whole other sections by this point. And then moving on, this was done earlier this week. This was probably put here again by the second occupants, who would have needed to make a full base out of the temple so they could actually stay here and work here. So you've got the smelting places. I just realised I haven't really set up anything for... Oh, it feels kind of empty. Maybe some pallets of raw material. Something along those lines. I knew I wanted to do furnaces, and I was not sure what they were going to look like. And at some point I got the idea, I think the original starting point after that was heads. And then I thought, I'm going to look up the Hindu god of fire. And he can be red-faced, kind of fiery look. And he's usually often depicted with more than one head. And like most Hindu deities, multiple limbs, multiple heads. At least in their artwork, they're not supposed to have actually looked like that. The artwork is representing something more than just their physical form. But I went with the two-head thing. I thought, well, I'll just do two large heads side by side. It's taken a bit to get to this point, figuring out where to put the actual smelter and the furnace and the blast furnace. And behind them we have this. This is partially done. There's some final work for the old decoration. It'd be nice if there was something I could put between these. I think cobbled deep slate is too dark. Yeah, not a huge amount in it when it comes to... It's an interesting look. It is slightly darker than the actual deep slate. Anyway. Yeah, so this still needs to be done. I did this now because of what I was doing with the lava. But I still need to do it, as I said, I need to do the whole of the tunnel sections that I will include. And, you know, I'm going to need to figure out where they are, where they end, where I'm going to put up some walls and go, you know, you're not coming in here. It's like I could cut this off here and just build a wall to create a, well, just build a, make it look like that's where the cave ends. And then the other side, if I make use of it, you know, cut off parts of whatever. And then this down here needs to be done entirely still. But yeah, I'm fairly pleased with it. I feel like there should be something down here. I'm missing something. I was like, when I do this for like the wall of the hole, it's like mossy stone and so on. So, you know, and then there's the white thrown in. I don't know. Obviously built the whole thing over an actual lava lake, which I just realised also needs to be decorated. I have to make a list before I forget this stuff. And then you got the crafting through here. A little bit of storage. Crafting setup. Natural lava lake. Again, obviously much smaller because it's actually a lava lake because this is custom generated by the game. That's where the lava pools at the bottom of the world are just there because they generate lava below a certain height, filling in all of the holes. But yeah, a nice little crafting area for them. This place is a mess. I need to really get a handle on this. I want to make some modifications here so I don't have to have this connection to get through to here. I've actually realised that there's no reason they can't come underneath and come up the side here, so I'm probably going to do that so I can get rid of this and this and then reduce this back down to just being 3 across. But I'm in the process of working out how to handle the mine shaft and the incompatibility with where I've got the corridor aligned. Obviously not much needs working on in that respect, but the mine shaft as a whole is a larger question. So when we come to the library part of the original temple, books of wisdom. It just occurred to me coming in here, I could replace these with empty bookshelves and just suggest they burned the whole lot. Build a pile of ash in the middle on the table, maybe. So the thing about this place, when I was doing the floor design, I saw an elephant. The ears weren't here, it just went off to the side with the wood and there was a bit of mangrove in between. So it was still more of a design than a face. But I thought, that looks like an elephant. And I'm like, well, you know, can I make it look more like an elephant? And I felt like the answer to that was yes. And while I was doing this, I was thinking, it's like, and it suddenly hit me, I'm like, oh, the villagers worship an elephant god. Because that's where they think they came from. They think they were made by an elephant god. because they've got the noses. And then I was like, Ganesh. Yeah. Hence Ghanaian. And yeah, so I modified it a little bit more and decided to put this in. Originally went up on the roof looking straight up at it, and I'm like, well, this sucks. So I built it sideways, sticking out of the side of the cave. It didn't come out too badly. Yeah, I'm pleased with it. And again, another area where things need to be connected and decorated. And probably going to be the last thing I do, to be honest. And then, yeah, enchanting area, as you would. So, yeah, all in all, I think it's come together pretty well. So far, so good, give or take. And I'm sure that brings it. Oh, yeah, sleeping quarters. That's what I'm in the middle of. I've got one proper quarters at the moment. A little bit of a mess hall for the people who would sleep here. Storage. And then, nope. Oh, I know where it is. Yeah. It goes up 2-3 floors. And then I eventually broke through onto a ravine, which, yeah, that probably needs to stay there. Which I now give myself access to. This is what I was in the middle of working on. I stopped. Same problem. I've gone overboard with the water spread, and what I'm going to have to do is make a small pool here, and then fill in either side with the mud and soil all the way down, and then again up here. This can stay as a pool, and then start locking this in so I can put farmland, and then probably continue this on this way. Another nice area here I can do, put steps in. It looks like I'm already geared up for coming down here too. I discovered a little underground water lake, and put a little shrine in to the water god. And yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I don't know how much longer it's going to be here. Decorating the tunnel system means if I draw a line and, you know, limit what I'm going to work on, it's still going to take a while. So yeah, it's really hard to know at the moment. The mushrooms are all still in place like this because I want to remind myself that I would like to put the mushrooms in a larger form that I'm using on the surface. So, you know, once that's done, I'll probably get rid of a lot of the smaller ones. Probably going to be another wing over here, but more straightforward and more blatantly grey nightish, even though they're not responsible. And I think this must be where I came in. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, continue to do. And yeah, I went really far over time with that video. To see what I can cut out. Anyway, I think I'll get on with some of this work.